Welcome back. Great to have you with us this morning. Now then, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that it's been 3 years since we lost the wonderful Dame Barbra Windsor.
Since then, Dame Barbra's husband, Scott Mitchell, has worked tirelessly to keep her legacy alive, doing everything he can to keep the subject of dementia at the forefront of public conversation.
And there is one woman who has been with him quite literally every step of the way.
Literally.
Scott joins us now alongside his partner, Tanya Frank, to tell us why they'll never stop campaigning for a cure. Good morning to the two of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And
Thanks for
joining us.
Congratulations on your
first
first morning.
It's an honour to be here on your first day.
It's an honour for us to have you here
Absolutely.
together, talking about your relationship for the first time openly with everybody, but also about the work that you're still doing for dementia care. And Scott, tell us, I mean, if anybody doesn't know what Babs Army was and what it is and the importance that it's making to that world, just explain a little bit about it.
OK, well, Barbara and I started campaigning back in 2019 when we first went to Downing Street to talk about dementia care in general, whether that be funding, whether that be social care. Things went a bit quiet, obviously, for a couple of years after that because we had the pandemic. When Barbara passed, I then contacted the Prime Minister again and said, what's happening? You know, nothing's been happening. Long story short, kind of from my side of things, is I'm really proud to have been a little part of making certain changes with Alzheimer's Research UK, who I'm an ambassador for. We now have a government-funded Dame Barbra Windsor dementia mission, which I'm just thrilled about as far as her legacy is concerned. That's such an incredible thing. And also, there has been the doubling of dementia research from 80 million to 160 million, which goes into place this year, actually.
Which is amazing, which is that thing of if you don't give up and you keep going and keep pursuing them, you make stuff happen.
It's such an important subject.
Yeah.
It affects so many people. You know, listen, I'm living still with the effects of Alzheimer's on a family, which is Tanya.
And Tanya, you were part of Babs Army right from the word go, right?
Yeah, I was. So when Barbara and Scott contacted EastEnders, which I was in at the time, and asked if any of us would want to run for Alzheimer's, it was a natural thing for me to say yes because my stepfather has advanced Alzheimer's, and so of course I just jumped at the chance and. It was the most amazing experience, and we've since run 3 marathons together to raise money. And
when we said every step of the way, the two of you did, didn't you? You did every single one of your marathons together.
And finished at the very last second.
Right?
We crossed the line at the same second. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. That's happened on so many... and the 3 marathons and also on a couple of half marathons that we've done as well.
I mean, and clearly it's very personal for you as well. Your stepfather is dealing with it, so you know the importance of support and family in that sort of scenario. But of course, something has come out of the grief of you losing Barbara, and that's this relationship between the two of you. I mean, you've seen each other at your absolute worst, you know, 26 and a bit miles in.
But someone did say to me, a friend of mine did say to me, you know, has he seen you without makeup? And I said, well, he's seen me run a marathon, you can't look any worse. So it's like...
But it's not necessarily the first place you think that romance would blossom, Scott, training for a marathon and running a marathon?
Absolutely not. I think what it was, we did share in common that both of us were being affected by this horrendous disease, Alzheimer's, and what it did was it forged an incredible friendship for, you know, for the first 4 years or so. And something wonderful came out of it. Exactly the opposite of what dementia is. Dementia is not positive, it's not kind, certainly not loving.
Away,
yeah.
It?
So we found the opposite and, you know, thank God, it's a lovely thing.
Well, I think also when you lost Barbara, it's turned it into a positive somehow, when you feel as though there's no hope at all.
Totally.
And you are absolutely devastated and heartbroken. Something positive came out of it.
That's absolutely right. And you know, her memory will always be there. I'm very fortunate I have a partner who doesn't make me feel bad about talking about my late wife or keeping this memory alive, of working together, because we're both as equally passionate about it.
Yeah.
So.
And also, for me, it's... you know, I'm in such admiration of what Scott and Barbara achieved with speaking about Alzheimer's, that for me, I could do nothing but support him in it, because it's an important aspect to the whole society, not just me personally.
It is sensitive, though, of course, because there's the Barbra Windsor effect that we all know. And Scott, people stop you all the time to tell you their memories.
Yeah.
that tentative step, though, Tanya, when you go from being friends to being romantically involved with somebody who you've fallen in love with, when you know that there is this other part of his life, that must have been something that you considered very carefully.
I think really it's a natural thing, really, because of the support of the Alzheimer's. It's something that you often feel alone in. You can't always express when you are caring for someone that does have Alzheimer's. It's a very difficult situation, and really it was the connectivity of that that allowed that support system to grow, and the communication of that. And it's always been important to keep the communication of that going for both of us. So for me, Barbra is as much about the legacy of her living with Alzheimer's as it is me going through it with my stepfather.
I also feel that so many people are now touched by this horrible disease, and it is a terrible... My grandma had it too. And it's a terrible thing, and I think the more you can kind of be out there and talking about it as well, you must have so many positive reactions from people too.
Definitely. I mean, you know, so many people do come up and talk about it and say thank you for talking about it. Because, you know, it's only recent, it's only over the last few years that we are talking about this more openly. It was something that had a real stigma to it.
Yes.
You know, people didn't want to talk about relatives that had dementia because they might have been a little bit embarrassed about what they might be saying or confusing things. You know, 1 in 2 people now, the way we're going, will either be affected directly or they will know someone who is affected directly. I mean, those stats are quite incredible now. And it's something that certainly across the parties and governments has to be a #1 priority. We've talked about the Dame Barbra Windsor Dementia Mission. Tomorrow, I'm going to be meeting Wes Streeting, the Shadow Health Secretary. It's going to be the 2nd meeting that I've had with Labour, a lady called Holly Lynch.
Have you got some insight on who's going to win the next election? Is that what
this is the great thing. To me, there's no preference with... Dementia has no boundaries.
No.
It will take both parties and their families, and when it does, it's a really cruel, as you've witnessed.
Absolutely.
It's a very cruel disease.
And how much have you managed to raise so far? I mean, you're petitioning all these people to make the change, but how much have you raised so far?
Oh, do you know, I've never really counted because we've done the 3 marathons.
Yeah.
I do quite a bit of stuff behind the scenes with AR UK, kind of pitching to sponsors and everything like that. So I've got no idea. They might know.
He's not giving
hundreds of thousands. It's hundreds of thousands.
We're getting to this time of year, though, and I often, and I can't do the marathons anymore because my back, sadly, my body can't keep up. But are you getting pangs of not doing the marathon? I know you both said you'd never do another one. Are you looking out at the runners, Scott, thinking, oh, maybe we've got one more in us?
I'm very jealous, and I've already said that is it. I'm not doing another.
I feel there's a but.
I don't... Look, there's only one way I could do it, and I'm going to set this bar really high.
Go on.
OK? If for next year's marathon there's someone out there with some excess money or a company that would like to give £1 million to Alzheimer's Research UK, I would do another 1 more marathon, and I would shave my hair off.
And you'll shave your hair too?
Yeah, no, that's the big one. So that's why I've set the bar so high.
I don't know why you added that caveat in there, really.
Tanya, your partner, how do you fancy the idea of him with a shaved head?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you know, it's like I didn't know that there was going to be that extra addendum at the bottom,
Amazing.
So,
well, look, let's see. If there is somebody watching this morning who maybe they've been affected by Alzheimer's, they're a big company or you get a big sponsor to find £1 million, it would all be going to such an extraordinarily important cause as well.
Absolutely.
We can't do it without research and the money going into research, so...
And we are making ground now.
Yes.
That's the most important.
And you're never going to give up. I can see you're going to keep at it.
I'm passionate about it. I don't want to see other people go through the latter stages of what I witnessed with Barbra. And
amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
Lovely to see you together as well.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.